Welcome. In this video, we're talking about the invitation into a second stage conversation. I'm really excited for you. If you made it this far in the video series, that means that you're fully, committed at least looking at this, and you've been thinking about something like this for a while, and maybe you've been, looking around for information, and this is really hitting home with you, just like it hit home with me, and that's why we're sitting here talking about this right now.
You asked me a question about how many people are in first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, and predominantly on the globe, people are primarily first stage, in survival and trying to get their bills paid, seeking their own peace of mind, this sort of thing. That when we really want to have a better relationship with somebody, we kind of lack the skills to get to that good second stage compromise, to have that vulnerable second stage conversation that helps us, instead of win or lose, like was typical of the first stage, we want to learn how to win something together with people, with our loved ones, with our intimate partner, with our family. The second stage conversation really is the bridge that helps get us out of the first stage, all those sticking points, all that egocentrism, all these ideals that we cling to and we struggle with. So the second stage conversation is kind of like a doorway out, and so it's important because if we're gonna get out of first stage misery or first stage suffering, we really gotta find the doorway out. And the second stage conversation is the doorway out. And beyond that doorway, we can strive for third stage service where we feel full and self-empowered and abundant. Or fourth stage where we really can just be so calibrated to every moment and know what masculine gift or feminine gift is required in that moment. And as we serve that, we really feel valuable, we're respected and admired as valuable, we bring value, and it's effortless because it comes from within, it's in us, it's been there the whole time. It's just trapped underneath these first stage or second stage circumstances, our consciousness. So today I want to talk a little bit about the second stage conversation with you because it's an important doorway out of our first stage trappings. Our I, me, my kind of stuff where we can't really feel beyond that, like how this situation affects you or what you got to put up with or what it's going to cost you, because I can't. If I could, it wouldn't be the first stage. Second stage conversation is really important because it actually helps us, value winning something together, where we each get to win something. We might not get everything our first stage part, is looking for or demanding, but that's not the goal. The goal is to work with you through better communication, to try and find something where you win something of what you want and I win something of what I want. And I have to give up a little bit of something on your behalf, and you have to give up a little bit of something on my behalf. And what's cool about it is that when I see you holding up your end and you see me holding up my end, trust starts to build, where the first stage exchange was, really attacking that trust, making it hard for you to be trustable to me because you can't feel me, you can't consider me. That's what the first stage is. So when I see that you can and you respect, the compromise you make, then I learn to trust you a little bit more. And then we have another second stage conversation and I see you holding up that one. And we have two in a row. Now I'm encouraged to have another conversation. What else can we, win together and create function and, and fairness and safety from that first stage hurt, and abuse and neglect.
Can you break it down, a second stage conversation, when you get out of the first stage, and then, so now you're getting out of your trappings and actually having a second stage conversation with somebody, and what that looks like. What are like the steps involved?
Sure. Well, in the downloadable PDF, I have it broken down into 12 steps.
Oh, cool.
So it really is itemized. And it's good for people who are starting out because clearly you don't want to start with your toughest first stage issues because the second stage conversation will likely fall apart. And we don't want you to think that the second stage conversation doesn't work. We'd rather that you realize that the people aren't ready yet for a second stage conversation on that issue. So we can back it up, and it could be as simple as, where are we going to go eat? You know, who's going to make the decision?
Okay, can you bring it to, let's just say a husband and wife are arguing about something and they keep butting heads on it, or it could be anything, employee, boss, friend, coworker, whatever. They're arguing about something, they keep butting heads and they're stuck, and now it's time to go from immaturity to maturity, and have a second stage conversation. And that is that compromise, right? So what is like the first step when they're butting heads over the same issue over and over?
Sure. I would like to try to communicate with you in a different way on an important issue. And if you would give me permission to give you some parameters around this conversation that you can hold me to as well, then maybe we could try to get further down the road in reaching a compromise.
Okay.
Than we've previously been able to do.
So we're getting nowhere here. We've got nowhere. So let's come up with some parameters and some agreements, some compromises.
Right.
Like, I'll listen to you for 10 minutes straight. I won't say a word, and I'm wide open. And then would that work? And then
it might. The problem is, as soon as you start to say you are doing something wrong,
and it hits that trigger,
you typically start to stop listening or stop hearing.
And you just can't wait for your turn to speak.
Sure, and to say why you're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, that's nowhere near as bad as what you do, right? You're in a first stage exchange there. When you download the PDF, you'll see all 12 steps that really take you through it. And it can only work when both people are interested in succeeding in the communication. If they're only interested in winning, then they're still in a first stage. They can't succeed in a second stage environment. So both people have to be aware that it's time to have a better conversation. It's time to do things a little bit differently and see how that works out. And often in couples coaching, I actually have to mediate these first few second stage conversations because...
Wow. So you have couples that you're coaching, either consulting over the phone, three-way, or in person. Which
either.
So, and then they'll start to bicker and tear, and whoa, and you have to mediate, and they go, whoa, stop, and help that along, like training wheels at first, right?
It is. It's training wheels. Because I'll have the document.
Yeah.
I'll say, well, we're still on step 3. So can you please read step 3 because maybe you forgot.
Yeah.
And they go to their ideals or their ego, right? And so then they reread it and they get it. And because my clients, I take them through a process to make sure they know that even though I may be direct or that I might be firm, it doesn't mean I'm judgmental. It just means, if you're trying to play the piano like a virtuoso, but you're actually doing this, I have to correct that because the technique is off.
Yeah.
And so you won't get there like this.
You won't get there like that. You can fake it, maybe get somewhere.
You get a little, but you won't get to mastery. And so if you are interested in personal mastery, I'll go all the way with you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Absolutely. I'll go as far and as deep as you're willing to go. But when you stop the willingness, then I can't do it for you.
Yes.
I can't walk your path. I can only walk with you up to the door and describe what's going to be behind that door so that when you open it and look in, you see it.
Yes, you create an environment and help shine a light on the path where they can keep walking and coaching and guiding, leading in the tools. And I like what you said, how you don't ever chase anybody into being coached by you. That doesn't even make any sense,
Because, so as you realize your desire to express yourself more fully, more with more awareness, with more precision, more influence for good and productivity. But if you're not ready for that, all the me wanting or me needing you to be ready, it's idealistic.
Yeah, idealistic. So what is so that's step one. Then what is a step two in a second stage conversation? What does it look like when they finally say, okay, let's compromise.
Let's give this a shot.
Let's give this thing a shot. And they could revert back many times and go back to their old habits and patterns, but at least while you got them there, they're willing to be there. How can you make as much progress as possible so they can kind of like get a glimpse into what could be,
For me, it's fun. For the new practitioner, it can be grueling at times, but essentially, one person has to speak first. And I have a bonus download for this video that has a 4-part phrase. So there's a first part to it, a second part, a third part, a fourth part. And so you can use that phrase to craft this first, when it's your turn to speak.
Yeah.
And it doesn't blame, it takes ownership. So that's why it's bonus, because I want you to know how to do that. Because otherwise you risk this first stage exchange again. Who's wrong? Who's more wrong?
It feels like a lot of work up front because it's so calcified. There's so much crud or resistance built up that it's so much work to begin to peel the layers of the jawbreaker off and back to really break this thing open and get some energy flowing again.
There's a lot of habit, a lot of unconscious, patterning, puzzle pieces. It's multi-dimensional structure. Our psychology is a structure. So the first person, it's their turn to speak. They have to speak authentically and vulnerably. The second person has to hear it all. So they're not allowed to interrupt. Like you were saying, 10 minutes, that's a little bit long, but to be able to get 2 points or 3 points across is maximum for the first round. So that it's enough, that some information is coming across, but it's not too much. That's just too overwhelming. All these triggers are going off and you can't hear it anymore, the second person.
Yeah.
So the first person gets their few points across, and this is where it gets fun, is now it's the second person's responsibility not to speak their part yet, but to repeat what they heard so that we can make sure that what this person intends to communicate is actually being received rather than converted into something that breaks the communication.
Oh, that's so huge because there's almost a 100% chance, I say that everything you communicate to somebody, right,
is distorted.
It's like a prism with bent light. So if you speak to somebody, even if you're trying to be second stage or in third stage, if they're stuck in that third stage, egoic immaturity, everything you say is just setting off fire alarms and bells and attacks, and it feels like, because we're all essentially crazy. I just want to say it. But to move into that functionality that you're talking about is...
Right. It's not our fault.
Yeah.
That we're crazy or that we're neurotic.
Yeah.
Because we are among crazy neurosis everywhere.
Yeah.
But it is our responsibility, if we want happy, healthy, fulfilling, and successful lives with good relationships, to recover from that condition that we've inherited or that's been imposed upon us.
Oh, I want to insert real quick. This is so huge and important and so valuable beyond any amount of say materialistic acquisition of money and all this stuff, or any type of anything, because there comes a point in life where there's been so much pressure, so much it's so lopsided. Like Neo in the Matrix, you can feel something's wrong, you feel the pressure, and make more money, or get more of this, or have more babies, or whatever that could be. You get a better, more authority, more expertise in a job. But if the relationships are failing and the communication is failing, then which feels like work can be the most beneficial thing, that is the catalyst that balances everything.
That's right. It glues it all together with trust, with function, with fairness, and safety from first stage chaos.
Yes.
Madness.
Mm-hmm.
The second stage communication or conversation really is a bridge out of first stage misery, egocentrism, idealism, all that suffering. That's the doorway out. So as your second stage communication skills get better, you become a better negotiator, better compromiser. You can intervene between people and help them out of their suffering because you get it. You get what it takes.
And you can...
Yes.
It's
about winning something together. I really recommend downloading that second stage conversation. Be glad to, help you out with it if you need to. And it's important. It's something that can really change your life in a hurry. A good second stage conversation skill set, boom.
So you said when the person lets the other person speak, gets their points across, now they have to repeat back
what they heard.
What they heard.
Sure they heard what was intended.
Yes.
For them to hear. And the reason I say it's fun is because it's crazy what people misinterpret or project or generalize or delete. So, once that's successful, then it's time for the second person to speak again and speak their side of the equation.
Yeah.
And the first person now has to repeat what they heard.
Yeah, and make sure that's clear.
Yes.
And understood.
Now you know that they have the ability to communicate.
Yes.
Because when you're in a first stage exchange, you don't, essentially. Yeah. Not much really moves forward.
And by doing that little by little, then now you can start to chip away and get some energy flowing and make progress.
Right. Because our misery is co-created. Until you can start to accept your contribution to the misery or to the dysfunction or the breakdown, and this is a practice, hearing somebody speak to it in a way that you are used to blocking.
Wow, you can go.
Now you actually have to repeat what they said, which means you have to own what's truthful about that piece.
And maybe say, wow, I never really heard. They really, or at least they really, really believe, and they're suffering legitimately, and they feel what they're feeling for a reason because of this. And I'm part of that. And the four most powerful words, forgive me, I love you, I'm sorry, thank you.
If they're authentic and you get something. Too many people are like, I'm sorry, but that's a first stage apology.
Instead of that, say, I'm sorry, I love you. How can I want to listen to you.
I didn't realize that I'm neglecting you that way. Or I didn't realize that when I'm angry, that feels abusive to you. Because to me, it feels like I'm discharging. I don't realize that it feels like abuse to you. So from your perspective, wow, I'm abusing you. I didn't get that before, because in the first stage, right, I can't process that kind of information, or it wouldn't be first stage.
Okay. Thank you for joining us in this free video series with Coach Rob from Ego Edge. This has been awesome. If you haven't watched the first few videos, go back and watch them and make sure you download the PDFs that go with them. This is really powerful stuff. We tied everything together, and this is the journey of personal mastery. This is really powerful. If you're interested in this and it's really hitting home with you like it did for me, then enter your email, click that link below, and you can be directed to a page where you can get on the phone with them directly and move the ball forward. So thank you, and see you soon.